When you start to judge someone, that should be a really great red flag for you to go, okay, what is it in me that's causing me to judge this
very
person?
Good. Absolutely.
And turn that around and use that as...
Have I not been getting enough sleep?
A way to grow. Yeah, a way to grow, right? Like, let me use this as a tool for growth. Hi, I'm Caroline Howard, a biblical counselor and certified life breakthrough coach.
And I'm Chris Oneth, marriage and family therapist and executive director of Downey Park Counseling Associates.
Welcome to Our Next Question, where we attempt to answer the questions of life through conversations in psychology and Christianity.
Remember, this is a place of discovery and definitely not the final answer. Welcome back.
We're jumping into judgment.
We're jumping in. I try to judge people at least 2 to 3 times a day.
That's it.
Intentional time.
That's it.
Like intentionally, yes, 2 to 3 times a day.
Instead
Unintentionally,
of like a gratitude journal, Chris has like a judgment journal.
That's right. Who needs to fix themselves and how they need me to do it.
I tried to be thankful. I thought being judgmental was much more fun.
There you go. Yes, so welcome back. We're episode...
We're talking about why are we so judgmental? And this is for sure the collective we, because I have not yet met, well, maybe Caleb, a non-judgmental person.
No, right.
Caleb, you're just perfect.
Don't put that on me. That's not true.
Okay.
He's like, no.
Then I'll go back to say,
only
I have
Jesus.
not met a non-judgmental person.
Right. And sometimes it's overt and it's covert, right? Mm-hmm. It's out there and we know it, or it's very hidden.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally true.
I totally have a cough drop in my mouth, and I should have taken it out before we started. But
that's okay.
You can send it across the room right now.
We got to do our get to know you question here.
We do.
Oh, true.
I'll just catapult this out.
If that's going to flop around in your mouth,
then I will judge you if you do that.
That's going to flop around your mouth while we're trying to do this thing. That's going.
Well, I was trying to do it.
We're going to lose audience members.
No, it's fine.
Caleb will fix it. I'll spit it out in a second.
There you go. Ew.
Our question is...
You like the gum behind the ear? What was that all about?
Ew, gum.
That's
I never
you,
did
Chris.
that.
No, I don't know.
That he is making that from his childhood.
50s? No, I don't know. Ooh.
Okay, no, here's what's gross. And I love you, Mom, for this. But my mom, if we wanted to spit our gum out, she would just take it and put it in her mouth.
No, guy, that's a hard sell.
There's more judgment coming up.
I cannot do that. I won't even drink out of the same drink as my kids.
Oh, wow.
Or anybody. Not even my husband. I'm very much
My
so.
nephew used to show up with gum at the fast food places, and they'd be like, "Where'd you get that gum?" And they're like, "Oh, under the table." Oh yes. He will talk about it to this day.
Our gasp.
And he's a responsible citizen these days. He's we were worried about it. One time he ran off. This was at Hometown Buffet, and he ran off. Hid in the bathroom. His poor mother, my wife's sister, was beside herself, freaking out, thinking she is now part of a news story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he was hiding in the bathroom, up on the toilet with his feet pulled up, and
why?
They were looking for him, calling after him, and finally they found him. And he was like, and it's funny to look back on that and think about it. He was probably just experiencing what was going on. He wasn't necessarily, as a kid, as a child, you're not, there's the empathy portion of the brain is not quite developed. So here he is experiencing this thing, not empathizing that my mother is beside herself. That doesn't equate.
Right.
So anyway.
Okay.
Scare people.
That is. Okay, our question. Or get to know
Don't
you.
judge him as a child. He's a good guy.
I will not. What are you currently watching?
Oh boy. On the phone right now?
On the phone. Yeah. What are you currently watching?
Let me see.
Why we're not paying attention. I'm scrolling Instagram. What are you binging right now? I'm not saying anyone's binging, but what are you enjoying?
So I can tell you.
Are you looking it up on your Netflix account?
I'm looking at, I have a few Facebook pages that I really enjoy. One of them is called Ghost Town Living.
So wait, this is instead of watching TV, this is what you do? You get on these Facebook pages?
Oh yeah, no, I watch TV.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I waste all kinds of time.
That's what I was more what are you watching on TV? But you're going to you can do your Facebook.
Oh, well, I watched this Ghost Town Living. This guy bought this ghost town in Southern California. and he is restoring it. Whoa. And it is incredible, and it's got me totally roped in. And I am summer. I am determined to go take my motorcycle
and purchase a ghost town.
No,
that's what I thought he was going to say.
Ghost town.
Like, oh, no.
No, I want to visit Cerro Gordo. That's the name of the town.
Okay.
And say hi to Brent Underwood. That's the guy who owns it. And look up Ghost Town Living. I obsessively, when I discovered it, it had been 3 years running. So I had to obsessively go back to episode 1 and watch the whole thing through. So now I'm all caught up. And it's created in me this now goal to go to, and we were some of our motorcycle buddies and I were down there in that area last May.
I really thought when you started this topic that this was going to be some kind of sci-fi spooky thriller, and I wasn't prepared for it.
No,
you went a whole nother direction that I was
that's what I want to do. I want to keep you on your toes. If you're talking about TV, I like a program. I like several programs, and one of them I like. My wife totally makes fun of me for.
What? I don't believe it. She would never make fun of you.
I know. I can't believe it either. But she is also elected to watch a few episodes on her own volition. She was like, "Oh, let's watch," and the show is The Rookie.
Oh wait, that's oh my gosh, what's his name?
Fillion?
And he's like a cop.
Yes.
Yes, I've not watched it, but I've seen it. It's good.
The actor's name is Fillion. I don't know what his first name is.
It's good.
Oh, Nathan Fillion?
Nathan Fillion, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been around for a while, but I like him as an actor. The acting in the show is good. Not all actors are the same caliber, of course, but some of them are just like, wow. There's cheesy parts to it, and my wife jokes that it's a Walker Texas Ranger crowd.
Oh, okay.
Hey, we all like to see justice, all right? Who doesn't like to see a nice roundhouse kick to the head?
I mean, it depends on the day and the mood I'm in. But
that's true.
Yeah,
very
true. Some days you really need it.
Exactly.
That and we just finished another round of Modern Family. Which
another round?
We've watched it several times through. It is so stinking funny. They make fun of every group.
No one's safe.
No one is safe, which I'm all for. So comedy
He's
is
all for judging every group, not just certain groups.
Right, exactly. Not just judging, making fun of.
Okay. Caleb, what are you watching?
So I'm a huge fan of the show Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, I've heard of it. Heard it was very good too.
It is. It's so good, and it introduces so many it's seen as more of like a kid show. I honestly didn't get into it until like college.
Wow.
I had heard about it all the time growing up, but we never had
like
all the channels and everything.
Yeah.
And it's so good at introducing like mature like ways of thinking and like redemption and like dealing with a lot of things we talk about on this podcast.
No kidding.
In a kid friendly way, and
that's cool.
But it's also a great show for adults, like super fun fantasy world and really really compelling conflict and stuff and characters. But they just started releasing a live action version on Netflix, so I've been watching those slowly. It's not as good as the original show, but it's not bad.
Bummer.
And then my coworkers were talking about this new game show that they've been watching, so I had to tune into that, called The Floor, which is on Hulu. It's hosted by Rob Lowe, and it's a trivia game show where everyone gets like their own specialty of like, this is my area of expertise. Okay. And then they have to challenge other people on the floor. There's like 100 people on the floor, and you have to challenge their area of expertise to gain more ground on the floor, and whoever has the most area wins. But if you challenge them... then you have to like take on, like you have to defend their area of expertise, and so you're out of your comfort zone.
Oh, no kidding.
Pretty
interesting.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll have to check it out. When you said The Floor, I was thinking Japanese game show where the floor might drop out from under them.
That's what I went to. I'm like,
have to slide down a tube and then get cut in half.
Definitely, like I would definitely watch that.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So Hulu, we have another, thing to add to your game, The Floor here. You should drop The Floor if they don't get the show.
Oh, nice.
Okay, another game show I watch a lot of the time is Taskmaster. Oh. Fantastic show.
Really?
Yeah, it's just they bring on a panel of comedians and make them do ridiculous things, but sometimes they're really inventive with like the way they do them, and it's like so creative and smart, and it's so funny.
I love watching people's brains work like that.
That is cool. I got to check that out. Thanks for the heads up.
Good. And there's like 16 seasons of it, and then so there's the British version is the original, and then there's New Zealand is also fantastic. And then Australia started doing one too. It's pretty good. And then Norway has one. Anyway, it's all over the world. The U.S. tried and failed hard to do their own version. But
we're just not that, clever?
check it out.
Inventive,
It's so good.
yeah.
It's so good.
That's so funny.
We'll be talking ill of our peeps.
Okay, Caroline, your turn.
So I have a couple going on right now. With my son, we're watching Young Sheldon.
Now,
It's the last
we've been watching
season.
a number of them too. They're pretty funny.
Gosh, I love it because I can watch it with my kid.
Yes.
In fact, we watched like the newest episode last night, and he's like, "Let's go back and watch the very first." And it's, I love doing that on show. Like you can do that now on shows, right? And seeing where they started and where they're at, and like how much better their acting is for one.
Wow.
But then, I mean, Sheldon hadn't hit puberty yet when he started, and now he's like a teenager. So
is that right?
Crazy to see that.
It's been around for a while then.
It has been around for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been enjoying that.
It's a good show. Yeah, we love that show. And then at night, which is my husband, we watch Formula One Drive to Survive.
I heard that
Gosh, I'm addicted. I'm
Are you
so
really?
hooked to that. It's so good.
Is it the one on Netflix? Uh-huh. I've heard good things about it.
I love watching all the sports shows that they've come out with now. Like they'll do they did a quarterback one with Mahomes and oh my gosh, what's his name from the Vikings? The quarterback from the Vikings. He's a
Brett
Christian
Favre?
guy.
No.
I cannot think of his name.
That's the old.
Oh, Kurt Schillings.
Oh.
I just love those sporting shows. Getting into the minds of athletes is so intriguing to me.
Wow.
So I will binge watch
That's
them.
cool.
And so now there's the Formula One one. There's a NASCAR one. I don't like the NASCAR one as much as Formula One.
I heard that show on, if it's the same one I'm thinking about, like exploded it in popularity. Helped it explode.
Yeah.
Exploded it? I don't know. That's
exploded
how it
it
works.
into
it
popularity.
had a huge explosion.
It is. And the amount of money they put into like the cars are multi-million dollar cars. It's I don't know. I love it. Absolutely love it.
And you started watching something else.
I did. I finally jumped into The Chosen.
Oh.
I'm only on episode 4. I texted you guys
it'll
after
destroy
I
you.
watched the first episode and said, I'm wrecked. I'm crying.
Yes.
And that's how it has been with every episode. And whenever someone just says Jesus told me I am, his child. And
Wow.
I'm just
That's awesome. Weren't you saying you have to be all by yourself?
I do.
in
I
a
have to be
quiet
by my.
place?
It is like this. It feels like a devotional time for me because I've been in the Gospels for the last year plus, and so now it's coming alive on screen, and I'm seeing even more of it, and I'm just it literally wrecks me just watching Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And
John's you don't know who I am.
every
Peter was like, that was Peter.
Oh,
was
yeah.
you don't know what I've
I don't know
done.
if she's there yet.
I might not be there yet.
I don't think she is.
I can't remember who it was, and he was like,
sorry.
he chose me. I don't know why he chose me. And I'm like, me neither. I don't know either.
That's
And
awesome.
it's just, I'm a wreck every time.
Tell you, when I went to see the season 3 finale in theaters, I was weeping the entire way driving home. I thought I was going to get into an accident. It was bad.
Awesome.
It was so good.
I blame The
though.
Chosen.
Yeah. Sorry, officer. I was watching
right.
The Chosen.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is beautifully done. It is well done. I was a little nervous going in.
Yes, I hear that.
Because they say, we add stuff kind of, but.
Right.
And you're like, oh gosh, what are you going to do? But it's so well
So
done.
there is, I think there's an episode of Theology in the Raw where they have the director or the creator and they interview him. I forget his name.
Dallas Jenkins.
Dallas Jenkins, thank you. And to hear him talk about it, it's incredible. And his heart,
I'll have to listen to
everything, it's amazing. I'll find the podcast
link.
and send it to you guys.
Yeah, that would be awesome to.
Yeah, it's very, very good perspective on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he even talks about some of the controversies that have surrounded and people's reactions and everything else and how he kind of processes that.
So this is, I think, a really good segue into judgment because I bet, right, that the people who judge this the most are Christians.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Christians are the most judgmental people.
Is that true?
I feel like it is.
I think we've experienced a lot of judgment within Christian communities, but judgment exists everywhere.
It does.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Christians are kind of synonymous with judgment at some point.
Well, and I think part of maybe what fuels that is the idea that somehow we have moral superiority.
Yes. Self-righteousness.
Even amongst each other, over each other.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It is. So this topic hit me really hard the other day because I was scrolling through Instagram. Yes, I do it. Even as a counselor, I scroll through Instagram. Okay. Sometimes I check out. I am not a perfect human being. and I'm going to read a little bit of this post, but it said outrage content is harmful. And I was like, let's check that out.
Got you hooked.
It did. And so she was talking about how outrage content is where the performance of the creator is being critiqued. And so now these people are saying like, well, don't put it on the internet if you don't want anyone to critique it.
Okay.
And she went on to talk about how, there's a lot of influencers on people make money. I mean, for people, that's their job and it's how they make their income. But now they are facing this mental health crisis as an influencer because of the critiquing, the backlash, the judgment from people. Just picking them apart. And when they talk about it, people say, well, then don't put it out there.
And it's oftentimes things that are really controversial or are going to stir people up or make them angry that get the most attention, get the most views, get the most interaction.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's also just these moms who are like, I'm making money by promoting clothes from Amazon. But now I have people on here going, wow, you look really fat in that. Do you really think you should be wearing that?
Well, and it's funny because to your point, it doesn't have to be something controversial. I'm part of like overlanding pages. I'm part of motorcycle pages. And I'm even part of a 49er fan group, even though obviously I'm not a big fan because I said Will the Thrill and not.
I am not even part of a Giants fan group. And
so I did it just because, funsies, right?
Okay.
And each group tears each other apart.
Yeah.
Like, what is up with that? And so I gotta then my question is it strictly just being judgmental? Because it seems to me there's other ingredients there. I mean, there's a couple different types of there's the discernment, there's evaluative judgment, and where we evaluate something and go, I like or don't like, and then there's the type of judgment that's discernment, right? Where that's actually a healthy kind of, and each has its healthy parts, right? We need to evaluate things. We need to be discerning about things. But then we dial it to a point where I think we get our identity caught up in it.
Yeah.
Something that we see, like, for example, I posted on, because I'm a smart aleck, right? So on my overlanding page one time, understanding that a lot of these guys have trucks similar to mine that are all decked out and everything else. So because my truck has certain things in it, it's difficult to fit like a cabinet in the bed of the truck. Should have called my buddy Chris Howard. But anyway, so I opened the swing arms, which has a tire and a gas thing for it. Opened the swing arms, dropped the tailgate, put the cabinet on the tailgate, got the ratchets, got the tie downs, tied them up, took a picture, and I said, for more pro tips, see me next week. And I posted it on an overlanding page. I had people telling me I was an idiot, telling me, and ultimately I don't care because that's going to be your deal.
Yeah.
But it just surprises me, and I think there's a suffering that people are going through that they don't recognize, that out of them comes vitriol and just always ready to see the worst. There's other things, other posts that people make of their vehicle or whatever, and then someone will post like, well, nice flex. Somehow the page where you're supposed to post that stuff, you're not supposed to do that because then you're flexing.
Yeah.
So anybody can take anything as a possible threat to who they are, and then they react.
And the thing is this is what we post. I know this probably judgment will mostly be about online stuff, but we would never say it to someone's face.
Oh, sure.
So if you're not going to say it to someone's face, why do you feel it's okay to post it in their comments? It's not.
Maybe
It's
it feels
It's
safer.
safe. It
Exactly.
does, yeah.
It feels insulated, I think.
Yeah. But yet you're still, you're forgetting that that's a human being that you are addressing and talking to.
I can't help but think that obviously these are people that all of us have gone through some sort of trauma or abuse.
Yeah.
To whatever degree.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
And so we have we have to be careful that we have a tendency to recreate that trauma, right? So you see something and somehow it creates in you a spark that then prompts you to be, just demeaning and angry and bitter. That's a reflection of some of the stuff you're not facing and recognizing.
Right.
Which is a tough place to be.
Yeah. Or then it's a lot of people will be like, well, I didn't like what they said, so I'm going to unfollow them, forget that. And then we just want to write people off.
Yeah.
As opposed to
that must happen a lot.
Being open-minded.
I don't know. See, I feel like people tend to stay following and just stay angry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that.
I love to hate you.
Hey, maybe it's a healthy step to unfollow someone sometimes.
Good point.
But a lot
Like
of
we talked
times-
about boundaries.
Right,
but-
right. You can unfollow them, but a lot of times people will unfollow and then they'll harass, then they'll talk bad about them on their own accounts. Right? Or to other people.
Yeah.
Right? Which is kind of almost what we talked about in the last episode of how do we approach people, and we don't go and get someone on our side and be like, oh, this person did that, and like rally the troops. But yet we'll do that online. We'll rally the troops of, we should all unfollow him. We should all hate him. We should all...
Didn't Pink just recently come out and say, if you are pro-life, I don't want you listening to my music?
Ago. That's what she said.
What is up with that?
I was sad because I love...
She has a great voice.
I love her music.
Right.
Yeah, and so what do? She asked you to not. She asked you to not listen to it.
She asked.
But I'm not gonna go now badmouth her all over social media.
Oh, did I accidentally do
that?
that?
No, you
Oops.
didn't. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people like did that and like, did you hear?
Well, I think in part of the judgment, being judgmental or reacting on these, especially online, is there's a lot of tribalism. And the idea that somehow the other is inhuman, that they're not human, and believe it or not, bullying and gossip have the same ingredients, because they're both a means of, like, you and I will bully Caleb because I don't know how to connect to you. Right? I don't know how to ask you about you. I don't know how to tell you about myself. But look at Caleb in those glasses. My gosh.
Yeah.
Those glasses.
It's funny because, like, that's actually
beard.
We're all wearing glasses here.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're all good.
I think that's a point. Like, we often see like our own insecurities in other people, and then want to shut that down too. Is often the things we judge most of other people are the things that we don't like about ourselves.
So is that like finding the common enemy to?
Yeah, and then gossip is the same way, where it's like, I don't know how to talk about me, so I just talk about other people. Right? And so I think the important thing about judgment, though, is recognizing where judgment exists in our own hearts.
Yeah.
And not, if we see someone being judgmental, not using the same ingredients that they are using against them.
Right.
In our own hearts.
Right.
So that's tough.
Like, I could sit here and judge all the judgmental people as a judgmental person.
Isn't it? It never ends.
I feel like I'm on a psychotic loop.
Yeah, right. Help me get off. So there is a remarkable amount of insecurity out there. There has been said in the past where, in order to stop prejudice and being judgmental is all we need is education. And that's not true, I don't think, because some of the most educated people ever have done some horrible things to each other.
Yeah.
And so it's not education. Sorry. I think empathy is a huge factor, because empathy enables us to get into the experience of another. But it's impossible to be empathetic when we are constantly in a fight or flight mode. And fight or flight could be, immediate danger, like, oh my gosh, heart pumping, sweating, or fight or flight can be, I just constantly keep a distance from my own feelings and from others. And so I can be real critical always.
I think one thing that I just realized it all comes down to is like we have this tendency to create hierarchies, put others down so that we see ourselves as higher. And it comes back to humility again. Like it has these past 3 episodes we've been talking about. Jesus said, like, whoever wants to be greatest among you must become a servant and be the least. And it's like we have this tendency as people, as humans, to want to shove others below us and point out all the ways that they're not as good because we need to feel that security of being in good standing and being above others. And it's like, that's so destructive because
we're
if you're
standing
going to be
on the dead bodies of the people we killed.
Yeah. And that's the opposite of what Jesus modeled for us.
Well, and then there's a constant fear of others being better than you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. So not only are you desperately trying to keep your head above water, by potentially, like using others to hold yourself up, you're desperately like worried about being pulled down. And that is that whole cycle of protection and fear and everything else. Whereas, if you know you're okay, right? If you know that God has got you, not that you're perfect, of course, but that you know you're dearly loved, then okay, someone can say something ridiculous and it's like, all right. And I've gotten caught up in trying to say something clever to refute people.
We all
never
have.
Works. Never. And so, but truly knowing, okay, you know what? That's your opinion. I think it seems like some of the healthiest people on those are people that don't respond.
Yeah.
And just like, all right, because it seems like the response would fuel the troll or the attacker.
I was just thinking, like, I've had a few different YouTube channels back in the day, and I've been so crushed by like negative comments that people have left. And that was when I was like middle school, high school.
Of course, yeah.
It's a bad time to like.
That's a bad time to put yourself out there, Caleb.
In general is rough, especially during that time. But yeah. Anyway, so much tearing down and so much like, oh, you're not doing this right, or you're not as good, or I think it's social media. It's like you're not as pretty, you're not as funny, you're not as whatever, right?
Yeah.
So this also reminds me of you alluded to it just a few minutes ago, Caleb, where we see something that we are afraid of in ourselves or we don't like in ourselves. And so we want to distance that in ourselves. Yeah. And so therefore that's translated as projecting onto others and exacting our punishment instead of on ourselves on others. Right. So, I don't know. So this guy gets this new truck. I mean, boy, if a guy posts a G-Wagon, which is an expensive SUV on these overlanding pages, people swoop in there and go, oh, you're flexing, where it's like, and then other people are like, dude, he's doing what everybody else is doing.
Right.
This is the place for this, right?
Yeah. And so that really does speak to what's underneath the surface for the people who are first responding in negativity.
Yeah.
And perhaps, I don't know, our tack should be like, Lord, help me to be different than everybody else is to them, to be different than even they are to others.
Right. It's making it. It's bringing it back to being the safe place that it should be or could be. I don't know if it should be, but like where we can all just be accepted for who we are.
Sure.
And we can accept others for who they are. Because I don't post that much on social media, and a lot of it's because like I don't want to go.
No, yeah, right. I don't want to be hurt again.
Yeah,
and I'm not that mentally stable yet. We'll just wait.
Yeah, right.
And I think judgment so often is about like writing someone off. Like you judge them, you make a statement about them, you're like, I don't need to think about them, like they're lower. But like true love comes from like caring for them and wanting to see them grow and be the best they can.
Right.
And like if you notice something that's a problem, kind of like we said last time, how do you approach someone?
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
And how do we change and grow ourselves? Like that's an important part of relationship and growing as people is we can address those things, not just like speak down about someone or gossip about them, but actually like come and help them.
Yeah. A guy I follow on Instagram, I love him, Carlos Whitaker. He wrote an amazing book, How to Human. And he always says, we don't stand on issues, we walk with people. And that has been like so like something like that constantly I try to run through my head of like, this isn't about the issue. There's a person here.
Sure.
Right. So let's walk with this person and get to know why they believe that issue. Get to know why they think that way.
Yeah.
I think being open-minded is huge. I mean, I think of Jesus when the Pharisees brought the woman to him and was like, look at her, judge her, you know, and in his open mind, I want to believe that he was writing down their sins in the dirt when he bent over.
Yeah, there's talk.
And wrote, right?
Why? What's the other thing you heard?
I don't know. I just stick with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, people say, oh, I don't know we don't know what it was, but.
Well, it got him to leave.
It got him to leave, right?
And
it's like he wasn't there to judge her. He was there to like, let me walk with you. Same with the woman at the well. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to walk with you.
Go and sin no more.
Yeah.
And I think about that too. When Jesus would go and like have meals with tax collectors,
Right?
these people who were judged by society and written off as these horrible people. And he extended like an arm and said, let me come alongside you and show you there's a better way.
Yeah.
And you can leave this life behind.
Yeah.
So the other part that this gets me thinking about is, I will find myself saying, okay, I've got to super not be judgmental over here. I don't want to be judgmental, but then over here, I will totally be judgmental. In other words, I'm more comfortable being judgmental over here than I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's always, I think it's a hard line too, because we don't want to enable either.
Right.
Or like
Right.
allow something to continue
That's
that
not okay.
shouldn't be
Sure.
continuing.
Right.
But we also don't want to judge and write people off and not try and help and just like make things worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's where judgment tends to end.
Well, and I think that's maybe where the Christians come in and how hard we are on each other.
Right. We're now judging each other by biblical standards. Like, you know, I know the Bible and you're not doing what the Bible says.
Oh, sure.
And so I'm judging you by this standard and how dare you? You should know better.
Yeah.
Right. And
well,
I'm not
and
living up to the
again,
Bible either.
the law is important.
Yes.
The Bible is foundational.
Yes.
But oftentimes if we use that in exchange for a relationship, then it demonstrates we're not comfortable with a relationship.
Right. And grace and mercy are huge parts of the Bible.
Yes. And
guess
so
what? Yeah.
and so that scripture becomes a distancing tool.
Yeah.
Distancing from us from ourselves and then distancing from others and actually spending the difficult time saying like, help me understand where you're coming from.
It just becomes a tool to condemn and
Right.
separate.
Instead of a tool that's supposed to bring us together to love one another, right? As Christ loves us.
I wrote this thing a while back. I was, this is probably 4 or 5 years ago. Mel and I were camping in Lake Pillsbury. Look it up. It's you have to take some dirt road to get there. It was like half drained at the time because California was going through a drought. I'm sure it's doing well today. Go visit. So we're at this remote campsite. We're out there, and there's a few other campers, and pulling up next to us, there's these two lifted Trump flag waving, like
I can picture
people, and they're like, woo, and that's just, you know, and all this other stuff, and I was starting to get judgmental. I'm like, oh my gosh. And here I am, a conservative, right? And so I am judging myself as the right type of conservative, not that type of conservative, right?
Right. Because you write
so
the
I'm like,
book
you
on
are
it.
embarrassing us, you're embarrassing me, and all this other stuff. And so, that's, this covert, overt, controlling sort of thing. And then something happened that night. It was crazy. It was a group. It was like 2 trucks, and there was like probably 8 people. And one of the couples came back that night, and they were just fighting with they'd probably been drinking.
Yeah.
And they were just yelling at each other and this, that, and the other thing. And it just took me back to the days when Mel and I would yell at each other like that.
Wow.
And I was like, God, there's nothing that truly there is a commonality, right? That we all are struggling, and just trying to each find our way, as imperfect as it is, and as even destructive as it is. I have to think that even some of my, in my CD and book burning days, when we were instructed to do such a thing, that I, felt so righteous and so much more righteous than those who weren't doing that, that it was like that I damaged things. I damaged relationships, right? And so that's not to say that I accept every unhealthy behavior, but again, going back to the why and the person underneath it over this rule or principle that they should try to fit.
Yeah. Because it's like you said it. They're not they're not conservative like I am.
Oh my gosh.
So therefore they're
unbecoming.
The wrong kind of.
Exactly. I actually wrote a piece on it called I Hated You.
Oh.
And really what it was about is because there was so much vitriol going on at the same time with, I think it was Trump supporters against Trump. Maybe it was even about, no, I don't think it was about COVID. Because then we get into COVID, right? And it's like, oh, you're wearing a mask, you're not wearing a mask, and I hate you for that, or I don't hate you for that. It's all that stuff.
Yeah.
Look, and just give it time. It'll be something else next week.
Yeah. Right.
And so the point was, as much as I hated you, I hated myself.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I think as a woman, right, there's a lot of judgment in what we look, what we wear, how we look.
Yeah.
Right. And so you see a woman wearing something and you automatically judge her a lot of times.
Okay.
And when I
me,
when I dug down deep into that, I realized it was just like, no, I just wished I had maybe the courage or the guts to wear that like she did. And so when I was able to switch my perspective to like, no, I should applaud her because good for her that she's more secure with herself than I am with myself. And she'll just wear that and doesn't care what anybody thinks.
It's an element to that, sure.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of times it's like, it's again, it was my own insecurities. Like, so when you...
Or she could be doing it for desperate attention.
She could be, but I'm going to choose...
Who are you to say? Yeah, who are we to go?
I can't judge her for her intentions.
We don't know.
But I think that when you start to judge someone, that should be a really great red flag for you to go, okay, what is it in me that's causing me to judge this
very
person?
Good. Absolutely.
And turn that around and use that as...
Have I not been getting enough sleep?
A way to grow. Yeah, a way to grow, right? Like, let me use this as a tool for growth.
So then what do we do? I mean, then the same thing could be said for when we see people judging or when people are judging us, instead of getting into this defensive, like, tit for tat, because listen, I call this entering the arena. Once we enter the arena, we've lost half the battle because somehow we think we're going to convince them, just like somehow they think they're going to convince us. We're engaging in the same unhealthy ingredient. So I mean, there's a point at which we need to address or act a different way toward the judger.
Right. Yeah. So you just throw scripture at them. Judge not lest ye be judged.
Oh, that'll do it. That'll do it, because they will accept that and go, you know what? That ends the argument right there. No, not. They will throw other scripture at you, and then it'll be this tit for tat.
It really will be. I mean, I think that's bringing that humility into it again, right? Like, I hear your judgment. What's behind that? Just...
Yeah, help me understand that.
Yeah, seeking to like try to know that person and where that's coming from.
Well, and I think honestly, so I talk about, like, if someone approached me and made fun of my glasses or that I'm bald, right? I mean, it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Because I've long accepted that, right? And so there's this defense. I'm okay. I don't need to prove myself or whatever in that area. But bring another area up to me, and then I'll get defensive or I'll get weird about it, And that, again, the only thing different is what's going on in me.
Yeah.
So even judging like discerning myself and like looking at it and saying, why am I getting offended by that? Right. Like, if someone's judging me and attacking me, what is it that, like, what am I getting offended at? Why is it important to me to defend myself? And where could they be coming from?
Yeah. Well, because it's true, right? A lot of times when that person's judging you, if you go back, you're adding fuel to them to to just do it more. Because then they're like, oh, I like that response. Right now they're getting something out of it. And so let's go.
Believe it or not, it's interesting because they could be reenacting their own trauma responses.
Yeah.
So the potential conflict that they were raised in, they are used to, so they are ready to be critical.
Yeah.
And this is why Yelp is such a tough prospect.
Ooh,
because people get on Yelp and they're like, I didn't have a bad, they don't say, hey, I've had a rough day. My life is going poopy. They say, we had someone talk about Downey Park, review Downey Park, and say they had to wait for 3 hours before they saw someone.
But you have an appointment.
Well, no, what the other part of it is they were upset at a Dr. Ward.
Oh, so it wasn't even the right place.
It wasn't even for Downey Park. Exactly. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's why you got to be careful with Yelp.
All this to say, if you're having a good day, leave a 5-star review of our next
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah. And Downey Park Counseling and Caleb Myers, whatever.
Yeah, like exactly. Yeah.
Just find us, review us on
There
Yelp.
you go.
I don't trust Yelp. I'm just going to say that.
Oh, good. Well, that's funny because we do look at Yelp for different places to eat. But then poor Downey Park is taking a beating sometimes on Yelp.
I've eaten way too many bad places that got 5-star reviews at Yelp to be like, can't do that. Sorry.
Oh, it's because you ate the fish?
No. Would I actually eat the fish? I think you know me better than that.
Chicken parm?
Ooh, chicken parm is good. Eggplant parm is better.
Oh, wow. Ew. If you like eggplant, you must
Are you judging me for not liking eggplant?
Absolutely.
I feel judged. What's behind that? Let's just
It's his own insecurity of not liking eggplant.
Am I being judged? I'm afraid I have to eat it. Yeah, exactly. So.
That's funny.
Okay, well, what else you got?
Judge not lest you be judged. That's all I got. No. I mean, the Bible does talk a lot about how we're not supposed to judge. So,
and yet we're so judgmental.
And yet we use the Bible to judge people.
Yes. We missed the part of lest not ye be judged.
Right.
Or take the log out of your own eye.
Yeah, let's go back to that verse because that one works perfectly too. Like God literally says, you will be judged with the measure that you're judging.
All right, I'm stopping from here on out.
So, I mean, like if you think about that, that's a little scary to think about at times. Like,
sure.
Golly. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So what's the thing that we replace that judgmentalness with?
Take a beat.
Big question. Because I think it's like actually, like we've been talking about, like having a conversation with that person or like, and doing some personal reflection too, if that's necessary, like Caroline, you were talking about. But then like better than judging or gossiping or whatever might come out of it, like have a conversation, try to understand that person, try and let them know this is a thing that I see. Yeah.
Right.
And go back to our previous episode on how do we approach
There you
people.
go. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I think of so many examples here, like just you saying that, like I think of people judging moms who are staying at a park with their kids and the mom's on their phone and they're like, why aren't you engaging with their kid? Maybe they don't know that she's been engaging with them all day and needing a break. That's why she put them to the park.
No kidding.
She
needs 30 seconds for crying out loud.
Or something, there's an emergency, something happened and she's doing that.
Oh, sure.
Or maybe part of her job is that. And so she's like, I'm going to work and spend time get my kids out.
Hey, yeah.
The mom with the kid throwing a fit in the store and you're judging her for not being a good parent. Or why is she giving that kid candy after he threw a fit? Again, you don't know.
So I honestly think I would like to hope that, I think I was a lot more judgmental when I was younger. I would like to think the older I'm getting, the less judgmental I'm getting.
Yeah.
Because I've been through a few life ass whoopings, which is enough to make you go, oh, okay. It's not a big formula that if you do all these perfect things, everything will be perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Life's hard.
I try to see those moms now. Like I really do. In those stores, I try to smile. If they're close enough, like you're doing a great job, like hang in there. Because really these moms are feeling whatever at that moment, the shame, the guilt, like I hope no one sees me. And like, I see you, but with grace and love. And I think that is like for us to just see people. We have to see people.
Sure.
Not just what they're doing, but actually see them as a human being.
That goes back to seeing who they really are, not the person we've created.
Right. Or who we think they should be.
Exactly. Or not the imaginary person that we've created in our head, and then that's who we're judging or who we think they should be.
And we see like a bad part of someone or maybe even their worst moment and assign that as who they are.
Yeah.
Well, and realizing I'm not even who I think I should be all the time.
No.
And yeah, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So good stuff. I think all of us were talking just as much to ourselves as anybody else.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
good stuff, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to stop judging from here on out. It's just
Okay.
bottom
I'm going to
line.
hold you to it, and I'm going to judge you if I see you judge.
That's a good idea. That'll keep me in line.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for joining us today as we continue our journey talking about life's many questions.
To stay connected with us, you can follow us at Downey Park Counseling on both Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow Caroline on Instagram at Relatable Caroline. And make sure you tune in next week for our next question.